Um, Hi.
Hi.
It's Belle here from Coffee with Belinda Downs, and I have with me Penny Locker. Is it Loker or Locker?
Loker. There's no C, so it's
Loker.
not Locker.
Okay. Locker.
Loker.
Loker.
Yeah, Loker.
Loker. See, here's the thing. If you see people's names and don't hear them, it's the old linguist trick. Um, there's a really great quote in, I think it's in All Creatures Great and Small. It's one of James Herriot's books, where he's trying to remember the name of a farmer. And one of the tricks that he was told was to say, okay, well, how do you spell your name? If he'd forgotten the farmer's name, he'd say, how do you spell your name? And then get the name. And so he asked his farmer, hey, how do you spell your name? And he goes, Smith. It's like, okay, well that backfired. Um,
Yeah, I used to
so,
get Locker so much
mhm.
that in grade school, I forget what grade it was,
Ah,
but I started
yep.
spelling my name wrong. And my teacher was like,
Ah,
that's not your name, sweetie. I'm like, oh, so that's direct result of
oh,
people just not saying my last name right so many times that I
right.
adopted the incorrect one.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah. So, okay. So, where are you? Like, not particularly, but like general area wise, where are you?
I'm in, well, I don't care. I'll tell you where I am. I'm in Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. So, um,
Ah, okay. Yep. Yep.
yeah, so I'm in,
What time?
sorry,
What time is it?
it is currently 4:17 p.m. So I'm in Eastern
Uh-huh.
Standard Time Zone. I guess the biggest city that most people would know that I live closest to would be Toronto. I'm about an
Okay.
hour south, uh,
Okay.
southwest of Toronto. Um,
Okay.
I guess the coolest thing about the city that I live in, well, one of the weird things is that it's in a municipality. So we have three cities that make up the municipality, but we're all separate. So we all
Okay.
have our separate
Oh wow.
city halls, um, separate bylaws, separate everything. But the three
Mhm.
cities share waste management, um,
Okay.
share police services, share the big things, but we're all still individual. So it's a really weird thing to try to explain to everybody. So it's like a tri city thing. So Kitchener, Waterloo, and
Oh wow.
Cambridge. Um,
Okay.
and the thing that we're known for is that we have the second largest Oktoberfest celebration in the world, next to the original,
Woohoo.
which is in Munich, Germany. So we have
Okay.
we have
Yep.
the second largest. We are Kitchener was a German city before it was Kitchener. It used to be called Berlin, and then obviously after
Okay. Right. Yeah.
during World War II, I want to say World War, maybe it was World War I.
Two.
It was
Two.
probably World War II
Two.
that our city decided to change its name. And there was a vote. Not very many people actually did vote, so clearly not too many people actually cared. And the name Kitchener was chosen. So, and then it just kind of went from there. And yeah, so I guess that's kind of little
Oh wow.
tidbits of
Wow.
where I live.
That's really cool. Hey, so I'm in Newcastle, New South Wales, Australia, and right now it is. I'll have a look. It is 20 past 6 in the morning.
It's early, so you're you're
So
you're already in the next day, or it's Thursday for you.
yes, it's oh yeah, yeah, that's right. Yes, it's no, it says Wednesday. Hmm. No, it's Wednesday morning.
Oh, Wednesday. That's right. It's Tuesday
Hmm.
here. Fuck, I forget what day it
Hmm.
is.
That's okay. No, no problem at
Oh,
all.
vacation. I
We're
forget.
both on
No, you're right.
Yeah. Well, see, we're both on vacation from
Yes.
work, so yeah, we are allowed to not remember what day it is. I work to a timetable, so yeah, I'm allowed to forget
Exactly.
completely that. Yeah, yeah. So thanks so much for coming and being my first guest actually for this series. Um, this series is basically about connection. I found that we're in the middle of quite a strict lockdown at the moment. So I've found that quite a few of my friends here are really feeling the disconnection from friends and loved ones and family. And what I wanted to do with these conversations is talk about how we connect as friends, but also how we connect as people in our communities, and so not specifically necessarily talking about that, but also maybe just keeping that in mind. Um, but yeah, that's what this is about. So if I can tell you a little bit about Newcastle, there are a lot of Newcastles in the world, as you probably know, and they all know each other. There's like a Facebook group called Newcastles of the
Oh, that's
World,
cool.
and it's really cool. But the really funny thing is that Newcastle, New South Wales, is actually a what I think probably the best way to put it is a twin town,
Okay.
and it's up like with a city called Lake Macquarie, so it's Newcastle and Lake Macquarie, and in Lake Macquarie there's a suburb called Toronto.
Oh my God, that's cool.
Yeah. Um, I don't think we've got a Waterloo, but we've definitely got a Toronto. And the really cool thing about Toronto here, and I don't know if you have it in your Toronto, but um, you know I'm a
Mhm.
linguist,
Yep, yep.
right? So I teach linguistics. And one of the exams that we used to have, so I can talk about it now, is where we used to get students to write in something called International Phonetic Alphabet. And we used to use suburb names as the prompt for these spellings, these IPA usages, if you like. And one of the suburbs was Toronto. But here's the thing, and this is why we went to auditory cues rather than visual cues. Um, when we first used it, some of the students would write Toronto in IPA just fine. But what we didn't realize was that there's another pronunciation of Toronto, Trono. They call it Trono, which is a different set of IPA symbols because it's a different pronunciation. And so we're marking this exam, and people would have Toronto, and then they'd have Trono, and we're like, actually, we have to mark this as correct because that is actually how they pronounce Toronto, Trono. Do you get
Yeah.
Toronto? Yeah, really?
Yeah, it just depends on how lazy we are. So you'll find that a lot of people will say Toronto, like they will enunciate all of the syllables.
Mm.
But I've also been told that for for people who know other locals or whatever, you'll find that they just kind of like shorten it, and you'll hear just Toronto. Like you won't
Okay,
hear
or
the full.
Toronto,
Yeah, Toronto.
like with a thick Australian accent,
Yeah,
Toronto.
or Canadian accent apparently. So I'm
Yeah, yeah,
told we
yeah,
have. I don't
yeah.
think I. So,
I
but
know,
yeah.
right? People don't
So
think they have an accent. Oh,
I
you know what would?
you'd have to tell me if you think I also have speech impediment, so I don't know if I'm the best example of a Canadian accent, but I would have I've always used to say we don't until
Mhm,
I went because I also live right near a tourist town called St. Jacobs, and I have like
mhm,
giant market that is brings everybody. And I was going through and buying vegetables or fruit from a vendor, and I overheard one of the other vendors talking, and it sounded so stereotypical Canadian, like just a thick Canadian accent that I damn near fell over. I was like, oh, that's what people mean. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Jesus. So I can't say we don't have one. I just don't think I have the Canadian accent.
I think you do. You do sound Canadian.
Okay.
You definitely sound Canadian. And if you start saying A,
I
I'll
do.
I definitely know you're Canadian. Eh?
I do say it probably more so than I say it without really noticing. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I definitely do say a. I definitely say sorry. So I am a walking stereotype when it comes to Canadian. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So, um, I'm just wondering, do you remember a sitcom called Corner Gas?
Yes. Yep. Yep. Brett Butt
Yeah,
and
yeah,
yep.
that's like my favorite sitcom,
You
and
love.
I've learnt so much about Canada from Corner Gas.
that's,
Um,
that's a good thing.
um, am I misinformed?
No, I think it's just exaggerated. I think anything like that, there it's going to be exaggerated. But Brett Butt is a national treasure, and he's funny, and I can't disagree with anything that he put in that show. Just we're just not quite that. It's just like I said, an exaggerated version of us, but still
Yeah,
accurate.
yeah, yeah. It's just the best. I think I've watched it like thousands of times now. And I
Have
got
you
my
watched Schitt's
flatmate.
Creek? Schitt's Creek is another good one.
Oh, I haven't yet. I haven't got onto that. But no, definitely Corner Gas.
Yeah,
So,
Corner Gas is good.
um,
Schitt's Creek is good too.
yeah, yeah. So I'm always fascinated by different Englishes, but also different languages. Um, okay, I have to ask this question. Do you speak French?
Uh, Je ne parle pas français. Which is I don't speak French in French.
Yeah, yeah.
I can speak. Yeah,
Oui.
we. I can speak a bit. I can read more than I can speak or write it. Just because everything. I'm gonna see if I can have. Oh, I don't have it at hand. Oh wait, do I?
You can go and get something if you need to. I think I know what you're going to say.
Every all of our packaging has both English and French on it, which is a lot
Oh,
here.
that's so
So
cool.
I was gonna
Yeah.
show you. I don't have anything. Um,
Uh-huh.
I can grab something quickly. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, you go for it. Yeah, no, this
I'll
is
just grab this
casual.
box of coffee
Totally
that's
cash.
literally in my bedroom because I don't have anywhere else to stick it.
Uh-huh. Yes, we're very casual here. This is a conversation, not an interview. So, I'm fascinated by this double language thing. Um, I've been trying to learn French, but I'm a bit distracted. So, okay. Okay.
All right.
I was
So
I was just saying that I tried to learn French, but mm. Okay. So what are you
all
gonna
right. So I've got
show me?
a couple of examples. So this is flour, unbleached
Okay.
flour. So you can see.
Oh,
So we have the English and the
cool.
French,
Yeah.
and then the
Oui.
English and French, English, French,
Oh,
and then
wow.
ingredients, English, French, all that fun stuff. So that's one example, which I
That's so
slightly
cool.
regret putting on this bed. And then giant Kirkland brand. So do you have Costco in Australia?
Yeah, we do
Oh,
now.
it's a
Yeah, we do
giant
now.
ass
It's
box of
relatively new.
tea and
Oh
then
wow. You
French.
do know this is called Coffee with Belinda Downs for a reason.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this is
Awesome.
appropriate. So
So
everything
you're just teasing me now.
English. Yeah, so English and French. So,
French.
oh, sorry, Georgie. Yeah, so we have language laws here in Canada that so we
Hmm.
are officially bilingual in Canada. So we have two official
Hmm.
languages,
Hmm.
so English and French. So
Hmm.
everything,
Hmm.
all products have to have English and French. All roadway signs are English and
Okay.
French. Um,
Hmm.
if you go to the lottery, so if you like buy a scratch ticket and you scratch it and you win, and you go and turn it in, the little thing that says winner, it'll also then say winner in French. So genial. Like um
Ah.
so it's everything
So
is, especially when it relates to government, is definitely 100% English and French. So when you're listening to an announcement, you got to listen to it twice. You got to listen to English, and you have to sit through and listen to the French, even if you don't speak French. Um, so you have to take French all the way up until, excuse me, I want to say grade 9, and then then you don't have to. Um, no, I think then it's elective. You don't have to take French, but I think you have to take a language
okay.
class or something. So I took German,
Hmm.
so I speak a little
Okay.
bit of German because I've forgotten most of
Hmm.
it.
My flatmate's doing
Some and
German.
write some and all that. So,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I'm not fluent in anything other than barely English.
Yeah. Well, you're fluent in Canadian English, and
Yes.
that's good. Yes. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So the next question I have is what does excuse me, what does Penny do to connect with other people?
Sorry, you cut out there for a second.
Yeah, sure. So ironically, what does Penny do to connect with other people?
What do I do to connect with other people? I'm probably not as good at connecting with other people as other people probably are. I'm comfortable with just a small group of um,
Yep.
friends.
Yep.
Um, so typically, we have a Facebook group, which is the core group of friends. So my sister, and me, and then I think there's Becky, Kim, Susan.
Oh, that's
Yeah, so
nice.
there's like 4 or 5
Okay.
of us. So
Yep.
we are chatting in there on and off. There'll be like a week or two and we won't go chatting, and then we'll just not stop. So that's how I stay connected with the people who I'm closest with. And then like friends like you, same thing,
Yep.
Facebook Messenger, text
Yep.
message again is another method that I
Hmm.
stay connected with. I
Yep.
don't typically talk on the phone. It's not
Hmm.
something that I'm generally comfortable with or enjoy. Uh,
Yep.
so yeah, that's, I guess, when before COVID, before all this happened, I would make it a point of getting out and having dinner or lunch with a couple of different people every so often to stay connected. Yeah, that's um,
Okay.
just by the written word is how I tend to stay connected.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Yeah. While I was in hospital, so I was sick for about 4 months with a back infection. And while I was in hospital and doing all the hospital visits, so after I got out of hospital, I have, it's really weird. I have a lot of friends that are in medicine. So I'd connect with them when I was in the hospital. So that was yeah, that was really interesting. And that's because when I was at uni, I I was living with a lot of medical students. So that's just and it just so happens that like one of my friends went into medicine, like one of my high school friends went into medicine and moved to Newcastle. So I catch up with him occasionally. Um, so yeah, that was actually a really interesting experience, sort of connecting with people who were very busy, but because I went to them technically, we were able to sort of connect face to face, which I found, even with face masks on, I found really a really good thing. So I almost am sorry that I'm no longer going to the hospital for this back infection, but I'm through the antibiotics now and
I
the
was so
IVs
happy
and
for
the
you. I was so excited
thank
to
you.
to see
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I'm very, very happy to be off the antibiotics.
Yeah, those
Um,
things.
did you
Oof,
did you
those things are
see
rough.
those bottles? Did you see those bottles that were connected to my arm?
Yeah, yeah,
Did you
yeah.
happen? Yeah, yeah.
Drain. Yeah,
Yeah, I called it a baby bottle with a condom in it because that's exactly what it looked like. Like with it would sort of push up and then let the liquid out and like it's basically a balloon with the antibiotics in it
yep,
in a bottle,
yep,
and then it would go
yeah,
through yeah.
yeah.
I got over that pretty quickly. That was 5 weeks of that.
That's
Um,
rough. And I strong
yeah,
antibiotics are just so rough. I've never
yeah,
oh
yeah.
other than prednisone, which is a whole other. Ugh. Being on strong antibiotics always makes me feel the worst. Like I always feel like I know it's supposed to help me, but I always feel worse on the antibiotic than off of the antibiotic. Like it's
You
just
can
I feel
really tell that your
so
body's fighting. Yeah, you feel really sick. Yeah, I had a poor friend who copped all of that, like all of the yucky stuff, like is what. So I have to repair that friendship eventually. So yeah, so yeah, the antibiotics cost me a good friendship. So
that's
yeah, but here's
funny.
the thing. I think COVID has actually like exacerbated whatever people were going through anyway.
Yeah,
So
I think
I
that's
have
true.
a lot of I have a lot of friends who are in lockdown on their own. We're going to come out of lockdown soon because we're a little bit behind with our vaccinations. I've got my two, but only just. So I'm still in the 3 week period post vaccine. But yeah, a lot of my friends are by themselves. And so one of the challenges that we've had is to make sure that we connect with each other. That's been one of the challenges, I think, for all of us, in connecting with each other during what is essentially, just being on our own and having to sort of almost face ourselves. Because, like, if you used to go to a workplace, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I used to go to campus and teach, but I actually haven't been on campus for nearly 2 years. Um, and I actually, when I left my office in 2019, I knew that that was the last time I was going to be in my office because they're actually taking the building down. So I
Oh,
actually haven't seen my new office. I haven't seen my new office. It's 2 years and I haven't seen my new office.
that's
So
crazy.
I mean I'm a casual, so I actually have to share it with people, so it's not just sitting there.
Right.
But yeah, so I have keys to my old office,
Yeah,
which physically doesn't exist anymore. Um, yeah, so that's interesting. And
yeah,
the
I
reason I
think
mentioned that is that you go,
I was gonna say I think the with COVID and like you said with connecting and with the people who are on their own or by nature um, introverts, I find coming
mm,
out of lockdown or eventually getting back to some semblance of um, what it was before COVID, I think we're almost going to have to
yep,
learn to reconnect. I think
yes,
some of
yes,
those
yeah,
relationships or strengthen because I find some people are better chatting than speaking by vocal, and then there are some people who aren't. Where if you don't have that face to face connection, you just lose the connection altogether. So I think for a lot of people,
mm,
probably um, it's going to be a process to be like, oh yeah, this is what it was like. This is how we were together and that sort of thing. So it's going to be, I
yeah,
believe it's going to be a process.
yeah. One of the things that I really liked about the old offices that I worked in was that the people sharing the offices, it was a bit convoluted. It was a bit weird because it's such an old building that people were sharing offices that weren't working together. They were just sharing an office. So people would send notes to each other, but we were strangers to each other. But you could tell that people really did care about each other, like the staff cared about each other because like people would leave me notes, I'd leave them notes. Um, yeah, you'd talk to your next door neighbor, you know. Yeah, it was just a real, there was a real sense of camaraderie. Um, I really appreciated that. So I haven't seen some of my colleagues in 2 years. So I'm
It's
friends
been
with
longer
one
for
of them.
me actually. Yeah,
Hmm. Okay.
I started working from home before the pandemic, so I
Okay.
went work from home in 2018. So I haven't seen some of
Okay.
my colleagues in 4 years. Um,
Okay.
but
Yep.
that, for me, again, I'm more of an introvert and I don't make friends
Sure.
easily. And so it wasn't, it's not a big thing. Like I used to go into the office every so often, but even then
Mm.
it was like, oh, like I just didn't, I didn't socialize really with a lot of people. So I just
Yep.
went and did my job and then went home.
Yep.
So, but I
Yep.
would imagine being in like a university and teaching, I guess that would be a bit more different because it's not a typical 9 to 5 job kind of thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. It's not. There's like I used to have I used to, in fact, I still have my tutorials booked. My yeah, the tutorials are booked in blocks. So I only teach 2 days a week, but those 2 days are fully booked. And so there's like waiting around. There used to be waiting around in the office, and then you'd talk to people between shoots, but now you just kind of don't. So yeah, that's been a really interesting difference. But you know, like so, for example, you would leave the classroom and go down to the cafe for coffee, and the really weird thing is that because I'm a linguist, and where I'm basically teaching um, basic English grammar, like phrasal grammar, like linguistic grammar, we've got sentences that are from pre-COVID times. For example, one of them is something like the tutors meet to talk about tutorials over coffee at Marmaduke's, which is a cafe on campus. Or I think it still is. I have no idea. I haven't been there for a couple of years. But yeah, these really long sentences that remind me of how it used to be. And remember like a couple of weeks ago we had that sentence. The tutors meet to talk about tutorials over coffee at Marmaduke, something like that. And I got a twinge, like, oh my gosh, that is how it used to be. Will it ever be like that again? Does Marmaduke's even exist? Yeah. So I had not actually thought about that. So, but yeah, I'm in touch with the course coordinator, Katrina, but not really anybody else from work. Um, yeah, so I'm not exactly a social butterfly, but I've been on campus so long because I did my undergraduate study and my postgraduate study there as well. Everybody knows everybody knows me. Um, so okay, funny story. There's one concept that I need to teach called the schwa, which is it's like an upside down E. It's a phonetic symbol, and it's basically the sound. So the at the end of father, or the start of up and above. It's a vowel that's like very short. It's called schwa. And so to introduce that concept, I would go schwa, like a saber, like with a saber, you know, lightsaber. Schwa. I couldn't do that this semester, but in previous years, um, students would come up to me, and I'd know that they were previous students of mine because they'd greet me with, "Hi, schwa."
That's awesome.
So that was that's a pretty cool memory. And
Oh,
I tried to make these concepts memorable, and like I said, sure. You know,
that's perfect.
so yeah, I really couldn't do it online though. So these students this semester missed out on that, but I won't probably meet them anyway. So but yeah, so that's been really interesting. So I know that you said that you don't socialize a lot, but how does Penny meet new people?
Penny doesn't meet new people.
Okay,
Um, yeah, I don't think I've met anybody new in a long time. I don't put myself in situations where I would have the opportunity to meet somebody new.
okay, yep, fair enough.
Fine.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't. Other than that, I don't actually meet anybody new.
that's fair enough. Okay, not a problem. Unless you think it's a problem.
I don't think
So.
it's. I'm fine with it.
We might end the chat there. Thank you so much for your time, Penny. I knew that I had invited the right person for the first chat, and you didn't disappoint. Of course, you didn't disappoint because, yeah, yeah, you're good value.
Oh,
And
it's a pleasure.
I feel that we connected really well. So I've really appreciated that.